If you've ever wondered how bad the medical system is in prison, then buckle up because I've got just the story for you. For those that know, prison medical is notorious for doing the absolute bare minimum and then throwing you right back into your cell. You could have a third arm start to grow out of your face, and all you're likely to get is muscle rub and ibuprofen. Over the course of my 7+ years in the prison system, I had a whole bunch of cell buddies in a bunch of different institutions. One of them was an old guy named Mr. John, and we were cell buddies in maximum for almost 4 years together. I know that seems like a long time, and it is, but there were people in there that were actually cell buddies longer than us. The people in the cell directly next door were bunk buddies for just about 12 years. And that is a long time to live with a person in a glorified closet that has a toilet and sink in there. I remember Mr. John telling me he was pretty sure that he had a kidney stone. So he was going to slide on up to medical and see if there's anything that they could or would do for him. If anything, we thought that the idea of a kidney stone might get him a little bit more help beyond the whole running joke of muscle rub and ibuprofen. After his trip to medical, he came back and told me they didn't do anything for him. Nothing at all. So he kept going back to medical, trying to get some attention. They basically told him, quit coming up, it's not a stone, there's nothing we're going to do for you. I believe this went on for almost 2 years. And after a while, he quit talking about it, so I assumed that the problem was gone or that it just never existed in the first place. One day before our housing unit was heading off to the big yard, we were just sitting in the cell, waiting for the doors to pop. Since there's no toilets in the yard, Mr. John decided he was going to use the bathroom right before we went out the door. And when you live in quarters that are that tight with another person, you get used to the sounds that they make, you get used to the things that they do, and you hear a lot of stuff that otherwise you probably would not. As he started to pee, it sounded like all the other times I'd heard over the course of these years. I thought it was just because he was old, and maybe that he had a weak bladder. But the flow was always really, really weak. Part of the way through on this particular occasion, I heard this loud clinking sound bouncing around on the stainless steel in the toilet. Immediately, Mr. John started to sound like a fire hose that just got unkinked. Still peeing, he turned to look at me. I'm on the top bunk and he goes, "Did you hear that?" I said, "Yeah. Did you just pass that stone?" Without saying another word, he finished his business, fished that thing out of the toilet, wrapped it in a rag, and said, "I'm taking this to medical and I'm going to throw it at him." Having listened to this dude pee for years, I couldn't help but feel glad for him. On one hand, I was stoked for the guy. On the other hand, I started to get real mad thinking about medical department and the pain that this guy went through every day for those last couple of years. The rock that he showed me was about the size of a marble, but it was not smooth. It was jagged and sharp looking. To be quite honest, it looked like what torture probably felt like. There are always going to be those people who think that prison should be horrendous in every aspect, and I guarantee they could care less this guy had to go through what he went through for those years. But to those people, I'm pretty sure you'd be singing a different tune if that was your grandfather or somebody that you knew. Unfortunately, you can tell a lot about a society by the way they choose to treat those who don't have any recourse and can't do anything for you in return. I can't speak for anybody else, but I personally feel that we have a long way to go in how we treat the undesirables in society before we can ever reclaim any sort of superior moral high ground. Throw me a follow for more prison content.